Hey guys, my name is Victor Maldonado and I am the lighting designer for Into the Beautiful North. And today I'm going to be taking you through my process. So I'm going to start by talking about my original concept design. For me, Into the Beautiful North, there is this disillusionment with Nayeli getting her idea from the movie The Magnificent Seven and expecting the most out of her film-inspired plan. So I wanted to explore the story with a cinematic approach that would highlight different situations with different looks inspired by movies I feel like Nayeli would have liked, and move the story in a way where we experience these different situations through Nayeli's eyes. So I feel like Kill Bill would have been a movie Nayeli would have liked, being how strong of a woman she is and how good of a warrior she is. So in the scene where she's getting attacked in the hotel, I feel like it would have been cool to sort of go into this silhouette look with the psych and really capture the movement and the choreography of that battle. These are sort of my ideas on how Nayeli saw Pepe's silhouette. Was it, Tombstone, riding off into the sunset, or was it Indiana Jones type of look? But that is my, sort of my idea of what she would have thought the silhouette looked like. So that was a brief look into my original design concept for Into the Beautiful North. It was still very important for me to still jot up a cue sheet, make the lighting plot, and really design the show as if it was on stage. So now I'm going to start talking to you about the process of lighting Into the Beautiful North. So as you can see the red arrows pointing at the shadows, these were some of the first struggles um, I encountered with doing Zoom theater. So you can see that they have the shadows under their necks, and they have what we decided to call raccoon eyes, where they have shadows around their eyes. Um, so that was one problem that we had to figure out how to fix. It was also my first time lighting a green screen. I didn't know too much about these things, so I had to do quite a bit of research. So to get the job done, I looked into three things. I looked into how a green screen works and how to light it, what equipment I need to light the actors and the green screen, and what else I could bring to the table. Um, on the image to the left, you can kind of see that they're the Avengers, and they're on treadmills running on the green screen, and I thought that was pretty cool. So it was important for me to try to think outside the box on what exactly I could bring to the table. So this is a diagram I found on Google Images that sort of gave me an idea of what I needed to do to light the actors and the green screen. Typically in film you have a 3-point lighting system. You have the key light, which is your primary light, your fill light, which sort of gets rid of that neck shadow and gets rid of the raccoon eyes, the backlight, which um, lights up your shoulders and sort of separates you from the background, and two lights lighting the green screen, maybe at about 45-degree angles. So this was just sort of the diagram that helped me figure out what I needed to do to get the job done. So doing my research on green screens, I learned quite a bit of a few things. The first thing I learned is what the chroma key is, and if you don't know what the chroma key is a video image that can be replaced either by another color or image, typically used with a blue or green screen. So what's happening is when you're in front of a green screen, you're replacing everything that's green with another image or a video. So you see it a lot on the weather. I learned what the difference between a green screen and a blue screen is. So Typically, green screens are more popular because skin tones don't normally have green in them. So it's easier to separate the actor away from the green screen. Blue screens require less light, and green screens require more light than blue screens. So when choosing which one you're going to use, I guess you sort of have to look at the costumes and figure out which one's going to be best. So like, for example, in the making of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, every time the Green Goblin was on set, they had to use the blue screen because the Green Goblin costume was green. And when Spider-Man was on set, they had to use a green screen because Spider-Man's costume has a little bit of blue in it. So we decided to go with the green screen, and it did require more lights. So I had to figure out how we were going to light that evenly. So this was a diagram that helped me understand on how I needed to light the actors. So as you can see on the image to the left, the shadow is directly behind the actor, and the way the cameras are positioned, it allows the actors to move up, gives them more acting space, as opposed to the other actor who has less acting space and shadows on the side. Instead of directly behind. So this diagram really put it into perspective for me on what I needed to do to light the actors. So part of my initial process was looking for ways to light the actors in their homes. That meant I had to look for lights I had available and meeting with actors to see if they had any additional lights we could use as well. So if you look on the right, you'll see that we have some tube lights. So one of the things that worried us about coming into this project was how much time we had to order equipment and how much money we had. So I was experimenting with tube lights. They are LED, non-dimmable. So part of my initial process was just figuring out how I'm going to light these actors with no equipment or very little equipment. So once we established a budget and I had an idea of what I can order, there were a few things I had to understand about film and studio lighting. So one of the first things I had to understand was what CRI is. CRI is the color rendering index, and I'm going to get into a bit more detail about that in a bit. And really, I just had to make sure that whatever I chose, I can get 8 sets for each actor. Make sure that the lights I choose don't cause a flicker in the camera while filming. What tends to happen is when you get cheap LEDs, they have a flicker to them because it's a cheap way. It's called a PWM, which stands for pulse width modulation. And what it is it's an interval of light. So you can get a flicker in the film if the lights are cheap, and I just really had to make sure that I had enough lights to light the green screen as well. So the color rendering index, that's how well a light source reveals an object's color. So on a scale from 0 to 100, 100 being the best, to kind of understand this a little better, you can see we have the natural white light at 5,000 Kelvin. The sunlight is bouncing off the apple, and we see red light. We see the red. So an artificial light, even though they're the same color temperature, it doesn't have the same rays of light, so the color is not as clear. So you can see here, down here when the CRI is 98, we could see the apple pretty well. And if the CRI of the light is 70 on film, it would be much darker and we would lose a lot of that color. So I had to figure out which lights had the best CRI, that were best suited for what we wanted to do. So when it came to finding the best equipment, we came across the Viltrox. The Viltrox can range in color and temperature between 3300 Kelvin to 5600 Kelvin. It's adjustable, and the CRI is 95 plus. And the studio softboxes um, were 5500 Kelvin, and the CRI is 80 plus. Um, the Studio FX boxes didn't actually give us a CRI, but because they are daylight bulbs, if you look at the scale, daylight is 75 and above. So I'm guesstimating that the softboxes were 80 plus. So this is the lighting plot that I made for the actors. As you can see, I have the softboxes on the side and the Viltrox LED video lights in front of the actor. Um, we didn't have money to get the backlight. As I mentioned earlier, film typically has a 3-point lighting system. So what I wanted to do was use the softboxes sort of as that backlight, but also be used to light the green screens. Those softboxes have the umbrella that comes out of it that really helped disperse the light really well. So it was a sort of a good idea to have it as backlight and green screen light, and have the two LED video lights as the key and fill light for the actors. And I even noted how far the actors should be away from the green screen, and that was just to help with shadows. So this was a screenshot I took of one of the rehearsals. Um, as you can see, there are sort of a few problems in their green screens. So part of my job through this process was to sit in during the recordings and make sure that we don't have that shadow and make sure that the actors were well lit. So as you can see on Kat's green screen, there was two shadows of her back, and on Felix's green screen, he had the heavy shadow to the top right. Um, so in the second photo, it was just meant to be sort of the progression photo. You could see the actors. We fixed the green screens for a lot of them, and we took care of any lighting issues they might have had. So you can see on Kat's, we got rid of the two shadows behind her. Raul looks really well. Valerie looks really well. Elias and Brandon Rafa, they looked really well, and so did Ariana. We ended up fixing Felix's as well. So this is a screenshot of Brandon, and the reason I took a screenshot of Brandon was because I thought he looked really well, and the green screen looked really well lit. So kudos to Brandon. Of course, all the actors did a great job on their setups, but this is just to show you on a bigger picture uh, of what uh, a good example is. So this image is sort of the, what it all led up to. We lit the actors, we lit the green screen. I think the overall product was really well, and I think all the actors did a good job on lighting themselves and the green screen. Um, so yeah, I thought it turned out really well. So next, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the lighting of the model for Nayeli's dream. As a lighting lab, it was easy to be part of the model process for Nayeli's dream and add to the show if it was really on stage. Um, so you can see in the lighting lab, it's this box, and we have these tiny light fixtures. And for a class project, we had to use them to light an item and tell a story. So based off that experience, this was one of my favorite parts of the film. So working with the model and cinematography, I really looked into the work of Wes Anderson, who was a great inspiration going into this thought process for me. If you don't know who Wes Anderson is a film director who liked using models in his movies and the green screen, and instead of using special effects and CGI. So shout out to Wes Anderson for um, you know sort of leading the way. So these were just some inspirational photos when I went into creating looks for the model that um, Chris went ahead and made for us. So what I really liked about these photos were the colors, and I felt like this was a sort of a good concept to um, jump into when it came to creating a dream world. So here you could just see the setup of our miniature lab. We have the box, we have the model inside, and this really gives you an idea of which lights I use to light this scene. So when we first jump into the model in the film, this is the first look that brings us in. Um, I wanted to create the illusion that where we are going is not real. But although like most dreams feel real. So this is sort of that pull factor on sort of like where am I type of thing. And as you can see, the green screen is lit and there's really nothing going on. So I thought that was pretty interesting to sort of film um, and nothing happened, you know. So in this image, this is the second look I created for the model. Um, of course, I took this from my computer, so you could see there is a green screen effect behind the mountain now. So we do have a sky. Um, so this is just sort of the product of that look and the chroma key, and I think it came out really well. And when you look at this last image, you see um, through the use of effects, we now see the silhouette of Pepe. We still have the sky in the background of the house, and you still have um, sort of my lights matching with the silhouette. So I thought that was really cool. Um, the end product of again recording nothing, and then once you add in the green screen effects and all those other video editing things, you see your film come to life. So that is it. So I want to thank you for watching this. Again, my name is Victor Maldonado, and it was my pleasure to have been the lighting designer for Into the Beautiful North.